Hello and welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I am Theodore Henry. Coming up in today's show, the Education Ministry's approach to accommodate learning among children with dyslexia. Also, why long-distance learning could be the answer to furthering your education. And to farmers, why you should consider going into greenhouse farming. Our package unfolds right now.
Get legal advice for free. Yes, free! From the Mobile Justice Unit. The Mobile Justice Unit makes scheduled stops in towns across the country, and the unit is open for stops at community meetings and school expos. Get free consultation on matters to do with land, immigration, divorce, job redundancy or termination, custody and maintenance. The Mobile Justice Unit, providing access to timely justice outcomes. To request a visit, contact the Legal Aid Council, 131 Tower Street, downtown Kingston, or call them at 922-3761.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, August 24. Area and shift commanders of the Jamaica Constabulary Force have received 24 new vehicles. National Security Minister Robert Montego says equipping the management and improving the general mobility of the force is part of efforts to ensure improved service from the police. He was speaking yesterday at a ceremony to hand over 4 of the vehicles to the Area 2 Police in Pompano Bay, St. Mary. The vehicles should make it easier for duty area commanders and shift commanders to move at any time to inspect and do crucial functions at police stations across the 5 areas and 19 divisions.
Every shift has a commander, and this person is the person that will run the division for that shift, and that person ought to visit the stations to check on the cells, to check on the records, to check on the deployment and the deportment of the men and women serving. It is estimated that once you have proper management in place, the results should go up by about 30%.
The minister says the government will continue to equip the police with resources such as motor vehicles so they can better confront criminal gangs and put a dent in crime. He adds that while money is being made available to fight crime, the ministry is also spending to improve facilities where members of the force reside so that their environment will be as comfortable as possible. Meanwhile, the Security Ministry has partnered with its agriculture counterpart to boost crop production at correctional institutions. Over 300 acres will be cultivated for consumption by inmates at the Richmond Farm Adult Correctional Center in St. Mary. During a tour on Tuesday, National Security State Minister Arnold Charles Jr. said the collaboration would enhance the skills training among inmates and boost overall production.
Together, you're going to see better use because we will gain technical expertise from them. We will gain the use of equipment. Some of the programs that they're going to be rolling out in the near future, they know that they have acreage here available to carry out those programs and the labor. So you're going to see a lot of positive things coming from this collaboration.
Minister without portfolio in the Agriculture Ministry, J.C. Hutchinson, says crops being targeted include carrots and Irish potato. Technical support is being provided by the Rural Agricultural Development Authority.
And we are going to be seeing if we are able to provide them with the seeds. We will help with the insecticides, might be with some fertilizer, but the main thing we are going to be providing is the technical assistance that is needed here. And that is what we are going to be driving more than anything else.
Minister Hutchinson says crops from the production will also go towards the school feeding program, as well as for national consumption. It was also disclosed that a project committee has been collecting data and designing a plan of action. A memorandum of understanding between the 2 ministries is expected to be finalized within 2 months. Still on security, over 200 pastors and peer counselors attached to the Jamaica Constabulary Force have received training to counsel perpetrators of domestic violence. They were presented with their certification at a ceremony on Tuesday. National Security Minister Robert Montego says this is part of a social intervention strategy to help reduce such incidents, as official data shows that 37% of murders are as a result of domestic violence.
It is not enough to protect the victims and hold the perpetrators accountable, but intervention must be done with the perpetrators themselves to reduce and eliminate a recurrence. The training of specialized counselors is an important step to reduce incidences of domestic violence.
The training provides for more persons to be available for domestic violence intervention.
This program will be evaluated and monitored with specific indicators to ensure that the intervention is having the desired results.
More than 400 police officers have received training in domestic violence prevention and counseling over the last 12 months. Police Commissioner George Coelho is calling on more persons from the church to come on board and play a role in the initiative.
Let us find out what is your role and how you can help us to treat with this scourge called crime and violence.
In other news, the Office of Utilities Regulation, OUR, and the Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica, PCJ, have signed a Memorandum of Understanding to establish a partnership in hosting Jamaica's inaugural Natural Gas Conference. The conference will be held from October 4 to 6 at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel in Kingston, under the theme New Horizons, the development of a natural gas sector in Jamaica, prospects and challenges. Its primary objective is to explore the economic, commercial, legal, and regulatory implications of the development of the local natural gas industry. Energy Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley says it will provide a platform to inform citizens of new opportunities, adding that Jamaica has a lot to gain from the use of natural gas in the energy sector.
When we look at the facility out at Bogue, where LNG is providing electricity at under 13 US cents per kilowatt hour, and looking at the facility that is expected to come on stream at Jamaica, with the price of electricity coming in even lower at around 11 cents or so per kilowatt hour, speaks to the potential of even getting lower prices for electricity.
Registration forms for the Natural Gas Conference are available on the conference website, as well as the websites of the PCJ and the OUR. Persons may also register online at Touchstone Ticketing. Early bird registrations end August 31. And finally, Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett is currently in California engaging stakeholders of American mega technology companies such as Google, Airbnb, and Uber Technologies. The meetings are in tandem with 2 of the 5 strategic pillars of the ministry, building new products and fostering new partnerships. The discussions are also being used to promote the UNWTO GOJ World Bank Conference on Tourism, scheduled for November in St. James. On Wednesday, Mr. Bartlett met with executives of the accommodation booking site Airbnb in San Francisco. That meeting advanced discussions regarding an MOU which was signed with the booking site in December 2016. Today, the minister met with senior executives at the headquarters of Google. While there, he got an overview of how Google generally works with tourism boards and ministries worldwide. Later in the week, the tourism minister will meet with senior representatives from Uber Technologies, a ride-sharing technology company. Mr. Bartlett returns to the island on Sunday. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
We are children and we have rights. We have a right to be
protected,
provided for,
and included. Don't beat me up, don't belittle me, and please don't molest me.
I am under 13. I should not be working for a living.
That is child labor. It is illegal.
Stop leaving me alone. I am too young to provide for myself. I need your guidance.
Protect our nation's children. They have rights too. To learn more about children's rights, call or visit the offices of the Child Development Agency.
There's a quote by American educator Robert John Meehan, which reads, "Every child has a different learning style and pace. Every child is unique, not only capable of learning, but also succeeding." This best explains the thinking behind the approach being taken by the Education Ministry for children with dyslexia.
When we hear the word dyslexia, what comes to mind? Reading what's not on the paper? Mispronouncing words? Well, that's true, because dyslexia is a disability which involves difficulty in learning to read or interpret words, letters, or symbols. We have students with this disability in our education system, and they are being supported by the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. Let me welcome Acting Assistant Chief Education Officer in the Special Education Unit in the Ministry, Mrs. Ann Newman, who will share with us the Ministry's approach to helping these students. Welcome.
Thank you, Carrie.
All right, so many persons have the perception that persons or students with dyslexia are dunce. Please clear that up first.
Well, we never, in educational circles, we don't use the word dunce. We should try not to, because persons who have specific learning disabilities are persons who are of average or above average intelligence. That means they have the capacity to learn, problem solve, and do whatever they want to do in terms of a profession. But they have a processing disorder. And dyslexia speaks to a processing disorder that affects their ability to interact with written, print, and the spoken word.
Okay, so how can we actually help these students?
Okay, the first step in special ed is always diagnosis. So once students are not doing well in the learning of reading, then they ought to be referred for an assessment. And once the assessment is done, it will show what the child's strengths and weaknesses are. We do remediation by using their strengths to teach them, as well as remediating their weaknesses. So the assessment report will usually give recommendations and strategies that would best suit that child.
Okay, so what's their learning style like?
Okay, there's no one size fit all. Everybody has their own learning style. Some of us tend to be auditory learners, some visual, some kinesthetic. So we recommend that in a mixed class, teachers use a variety or a combination of those strategies. Now, when you have dyslexia, very often you're not a very good visual learner, but you may be a good auditory learner.
Wow, okay.
So what we would do to compensate for that is we would have other persons read for them or use programs. These days with the technology, there are lots of apps that can be downloaded, some of them free of cost, that help to read for students.
Or is there a policy that guides schools as to how to treat these students and other special needs, for example, students?
Yes, our policy, our special education policy is still in the draft stage. At this moment, the Education System Transformation Project is visiting regions and doing sensitizations with stakeholders before it is sent to cabinet. So it's in an advanced stage, but we have guidelines that inform what we do in the system. And our teachers are exposed to these guidelines. One of the things that we do for a person who may be dyslexic is once they have been diagnosed officially, that person can qualify for what we call accommodation, extra time, sometimes a reader, in our national examinations. And schools that do the national exams know this, and they apply to the student assessment unit for this accommodation. And we also, from the special education unit, and we also have special needs coordinators out in the main schools, facilitate workshops, staff development for teachers who need this sort of support. We're always available. And Carrie, it may be useful for us to share a few tips with you for parents or teachers who are dealing with students who have dyslexia. Dyslexia, 3 of the manifestations of dyslexia are usually reversals, substitutions. And reversal, I mean that they reverse words or letters. They substitute.
Or BD, sort of like that, seeing B as D and
exactly,
so on.
Exactly. Or saw for was, those sort of examples. So they have reversals or they substitute some words. When they can't fully pronounce it, they put in a word that has a similar configuration, or they are just very disfluent in reading. And for them, it becomes a very frustrating exercise to learn to read. So a lot of students who are dyslexic become very frustrated with this process, this critical process. So some of the tips that we use with teachers, we say to teachers in a classroom, if you realize that you have a struggling reader in your class, never put them on the spot. Never ask them to read aloud in front of others because it's just going to heighten the anxiety. But what you can do is do more peer reading with that student. So if you have a good reader, and especially if they're friends, and you notice I'm putting it in quotation because you don't want always to have friends together. But if you have a good reader in your class, you can assign that person to help read for that child so they're not always heard audibly. And then you can play a lot of games because remember, the person is of average or above average intelligence. So if you converse with them, you would never detect that they have a learning difficulty. So do more things, use their strengths, so their auditory skills, conversing with them, and having them access information through tapes and that sort of thing is very helpful for a child who may be having a learning disability. And of course, we're in the technology age, using the technology as I earlier suggested.
Oh, those apps and so on that
yes,
you mentioned.
the apps, yes,
okay.
yes.
Thank you so much. Important tips for us to use. And when I say us, I mean parents, teachers, friends. Thank you again, Mrs. Newman.
You're most welcome. It was my pleasure.
Okay, thank you.
Stand up and get in the race.
I can become the master of my destiny.
Step up your stride, make we work like a harder. Do it like Veronica, Bolt and a Sapa.
We can rise above the challenges and shine.
Was with passion in your heart. Make a plan and stop all the idling. You think that's so? We reach a the aging. I can, you can. Like our Olympians, every Jamaican can.
Don't make diseases spread. Wash your hands with soap and water instead. Wash them regular or use a hand sanitizer. Make sure the germs them dead. Touching your eyes or your mouth or your nose. Wash your hands before you do things like those. After you use the bathroom before preparing food, come on, wash your hand them.
Thinking of furthering your education but don't want the confinement of a classroom? Long-distance learning is the thing for you.
Learning has long outgrown the traditional classroom with its blackboard and chalk.
And as new technologies emerge, access to higher learning has increased, and convenience is the name of the game.
I wonder what time. Oh, I have class in 5 minutes. I better hurry so I can join them in time. It's a good thing my class is right here at home. All I need is my laptop, internet connection, and I'm good to go. I can even take part in class and access all my lessons online.
As simple as that. Technology integration to support education has been improving over the years, from the infant stage to the tertiary level. This has been more evident through what is known as the Open Campus, a more advanced form of distance or e-learning. It offers multimodal teaching and learning services through virtual and physical site locations globally, and all in the comfort of your personal environment.
Everything is virtual. You can have your study time whenever time you please, midnight, whatever time. And the lecturers, you can interact with them, whether it be Skype, Illuminate.
Through the use of information and communication technology, learning has become more web-based, supplementing the traditional setting for formal instruction. This gives open campuses the capacity to increase networking among campus sites, as well as among students and faculty members within those locations.
What we realize is that there is a need in our region to expand access to education, to tertiary education. So what we have done then is to utilize the technology to be able to bring that education to the community and to the people so that they can study from where they are. So instead of them coming to the education, we're bringing the education to them.
Working in Kingston,
living in Buff Bay, I don't have time for a classroom environment, so the online situation was just perfect.
And participating in
Web conferencing is another feature of open campuses, and through the use of special software, students and tutors are connected in synchronous sessions using the internet. But those who still opt for a classroom setting can come here. At the UWI, open campus conference rooms are fitted with microphones, so sessions can truly be interactive.
Another convenience of the open campus is what is called streaming media.
This is where course details in the form of videos are streamed through a computer network. This allows students to view videos or listen to audio anytime, anywhere.
El membrete gordo.
Our technology platform is based primarily on broadband in our sites, but students who live where they don't have broadband can also download their courses in a reasonable time, even with dial-up.
A flexible open source platform called Moodle is used to develop the courses, which are then uploaded. Studying online has been widely adopted in the Caribbean, and for Jamaica, it's a welcomed option. The University of the West Indies has approximately 42 open campus locations across the region. 11 of them are located in Jamaica, and together they serve 16 countries in the English-speaking Caribbean. Such networking significantly reduces traveling costs, making tertiary education more accessible to more people.
We know, for instance, that the government is pushing access to the internet and access to computers, and this is going to be a great partnership for us to be able to really raise the level of education access in the rural areas and in more remote areas of Jamaica.
We need the sun, the rain, and dry time to plant and grow agriculture produce, but too much of each is very bad for the crops and business. But one way of countering some of the impacts of these natural resources is through greenhouse farming, a very effective and productive way of growing what we eat. Here's how it works and the benefits.
All this can be a thing of the past with the implementation of protected agriculture. There is nothing more pleasing to a farmer than to see the beauty of his crops. A few years ago, farmers in Jamaica were affected to a great extent by the tomato yellowleaf curl virus, commonly known as the Jerry curl virus. This resulted in severe crop loss. But with the aid of protected agriculture, farmers now have the option of growing plants in a more controlled environment. This structure, known as a greenhouse, offers a way to protect plants from the external environment risks, such as pest and disease infestation or severe weather conditions.
Having them in protected agriculture setting, we can somewhat shift our climate, shift the internal environment to suit the plant.
The Ministry of Agriculture, through its Bodles Research Station, has been helping farmers with the use of this technology to have better yields on their crops. And a useful technology it is. The material used is a protective mesh that can keep out the smallest of insects, such as aphids, also called plant lice. These small sap-sucking insects are destructive pests to cultivated plants.
In keeping out aphids, we actually keep out viruses. And keeping out the other insects, we will do the same thing as keeping out viruses, as well as keeping out lepidopterans, which will come in and actually eat the leaves of the plant.
The double door feature is another way of controlling insects from getting inside. This is recommended for every greenhouse, and at no time should both doors be open. After entering through the first door, there should also be a foot bath with about 20% bleach solution or some other disinfectant that will help to get rid of unwanted pathogens off the shoes. So with the first door closed and foot washed, the second door can then be opened to the crop. Insects are not the only danger to plants. Climate conditions also pose a risk. So plants in most greenhouses are grown in a controlled temperature environment. This is adjusted with the aid of shade screens. These retractable screens block out excess sunlight or let in more as the need arises. The shade screens can also be programmed in automated mode, and as the sensor detects the temperature inside the house, the screen will automatically open. Plants grown through protected agriculture are also kept at a moderate temperature by airflow fans, which help with the circulation of air around the greenhouse. The irrigation process is another important area of protected agriculture.
The irrigation system that we use is actually a drip irrigation system. We do not do overhead irrigation inside the greenhouse because we do not want the leaves to get wet. When leaves become wet, you can actually have fungus growing on the leaves of the plant and then destroying the entire crop.
All this is monitored through a timer system that allows for manipulation of the entire nutrient feeding process.
This system now allows for mixing of the fertilizer, which is in these two tanks. So different elements are combined to feed the plants. The irrigation water comes here, and the injectors pick up the fertilizer, mix it along the line, and then combines it. At the end of the mixing process, it is sent to the plants.
Now, in the protected agriculture environment, if farmers manage their crops well, the yield and quality will be much better, and the result? Less spoilage and more revenue.
The main reason is that the farmer controls the environment and controls the fertilizer that is going towards the plant. And there is no pressure from weeds utilizing the nutrients from the soil as opposed to the plants.
So if you are considering going into agriculture or you are already in the field, here are a few benefits of protected agriculture to consider. It gives good production when compared to normal farming. Humidity can be controlled, thus eliminating the breeding of pests. Crops can be grown throughout the year, and the greenhouse gives protection to plants against weather conditions that can damage or influence growth. For further information, you may contact the Bonus Research Station of the Ministry of Agriculture at 983-2281 or 983-2267.
Finger-licking jerk chicken, Helcher fish and bami, will run down yam and banana, roast breadfruit, sweet potato pudding. Jamaica food sweet. So let's make a pledge to use more local produce and less foreign goods. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow.
That's all the time we have for today, but another program comes your way tomorrow. Until then, just click on our website, jis.gov.jm, to stay connected. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via tweet at JIS News. On behalf of the production crew, I'm Theodore Henry. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.